Now, before making any moves or letting anyone go, let's start with the Raiders' current needs. First and foremost, we need to address the quarterback position. That's a huge priority. It's clear that the current options aren't the answer, and I doubt players like Gardner Minshew are long-term solutions. Quarterback is a major need. But that's not all. We need a solid running back, a true WR1, and improvements on the offensive line, especially at guard and right tackle. On defense, we need more depth at edge, help on the defensive line, linebackers, and upgrades at free safety, strong safety, and even cornerback. Honestly, it feels like we need help in almost every position. It might sound overwhelming, but I don't think it's impossible for this team to turn things around. To turn this team around, we need to make some smart moves. Let's start by looking at the key players on the roster. We've got names like linebacker Robert Spillane, tight end Harrison Bryant, safety Trevon Moehrig, defensive end Kayvon Chaisson, and more. John Jenkins, Marcus Epps, Malcolm Kuncey, Andres Pete, Cody Whitehair, Nate Hobbs, Divine Diablo, Alexander Madison, Adam Butler, J.R. Robinson, Amir Abdullah, and Isaiah Polamau. Now, here's who I would definitely bring back. Robert Spillane. He's been a rock for this defense and deserves to stay. Trevon Moehrig, a solid name in the secondary. Sure, he'll get interest in free agency, but I'd rather keep our homegrown talent. Kayvon Chaisson. We need his edge presence. Malcolm Kuncey. Despite missing last season, he's valuable and worth keeping. Nate Hobbs, one of our best young defensive players. Isaiah Polamau, a versatile piece for the defense. Adam Butler. He stepped up big when Christian Wilkins went down, so he earned his spot. Amir Abdullah. His value on special teams and as a third down back is undeniable. Unfortunately, I would let some players walk. Harrison Bryant, John Jenkins, Andres Pete, Cody Whitehair, Divine Diablo, Alexander Madison, J.R. Robinson, and Marcus Epps. I know Epps and Diablo are fan favorites, but I believe we can find better talent elsewhere. First off, I'd cut quarterback Gardner Minshew after June 1st. His time in Las Vegas didn't really work out. He didn't have much to work with, and honestly, he didn't look great either. I think he'd be better off as a veteran backup somewhere else. I'd also cut Carter Bradley and running back Zamir White. White hasn't contributed much, and we can easily add depth at the position through free agency or the draft. Now, one player I'd consider putting on the trade block is Michael Mayer. I know he's a talented tight end, and I'd be perfectly fine keeping him. But if we could get a solid return, like a third-round pick, I'd be open to it. He could even be a valuable trade piece to help us move up in the draft. Moving on to free agency, there are plenty of options for the Raiders. The first move I'd make? Re-signing Marcus Mariota on a veteran minimum deal. Bringing him back to Las Vegas would be smart. He already has experience here, and reuniting him with Chip Kelly and Greg Olsen could spark something good. Quarterback options. We need a reliable quarterback who can mentor the team and serve as a strong backup. Marcus Mariota fits that role perfectly. He'd come at a low cost and bring valuable experience to the locker room. But if we're looking for a game changer, my top pick in free agency would be Justin Fields. With Chip Kelly's offense and Fields' untapped potential, this could be a match made in heaven. Fields is still young, and I believe his best days are ahead of him. As an honorable mention, I'd consider Trey Lance. He'd come on a cheap deal, making it a low-risk, high-reward move. Lance still has potential, and under the right coaching, he might surprise everyone. Running back options. We need serious help at running back. My first move? Sign Aaron Jones, the top running back in free agency. He's a plug-and-play option who's consistently hit 1,000-yard seasons and excels in the passing game. Exactly what we need. An honorable mention here is A.J. Dillon. He's another strong option if Jones doesn't work out. Wide receiver options. Wide receiver is another crucial position. Many people are talking about T. Higgins, but I'd go after Godwin. He has a strong relationship with our new GM, John Spytek, And although he's coming off an injury, when healthy, Godwin is a borderline WR1. Pairing him with Jacoby Myers and our young receivers would add much-needed veteran leadership. And hey, that doesn't mean we stop there. We'll keep building. Offensive line strategy. The offensive line is a top priority this offseason. First, I'm bringing in Trey Smith from the Kansas City Chiefs. He's young, talented, and ready to step in as a starter from day one. This is a critical investment, and I wouldn't mind spending big to solidify this position. As a backup option, James Daniels is also on my radar. On the right tackle side, I'm targeting Morgan Moses. He's a seasoned veteran with tons of experience. Sure, he's getting older, but he can still hold down the line for a year or two, bringing stability and leadership. Defensive side. I'm keeping things simple here since we've already secured Adam Butler, and Christian Wilkins will be returning too. The one name I'm adding to the mix? Calais Campbell. Yes, he's older, but he's still a force and comes at a lower cost than most high-profile options. His experience could be invaluable as a complementary piece on the defensive line. Edge position. The current roster looks solid with Leonard Chasen, Malcolm Coons, and other players holding down the edge. However, there are a couple of names I'd love to consider. 1. Josh Sweat from Philadelphia, a rising talent with plenty of potential. 2. Khalil Mack. Imagine seeing him back in silver and black. That would be legendary. Linebacker solutions. Linebacker is a huge need for the Raiders, and my top target is none other than Bobby Wagner. Yes, he's a seasoned veteran, but he still plays like he's in his prime. His experience and leadership could elevate the entire defense. Another option is Nick Bolton from the Chiefs. He's young, talented, and signing him would not only improve our defense but also weaken a rival. That's a win-win situation. Cornerback room. There's already young talent on the roster, including Jack Jones and Nate Hobbs, but we could always explore adding both veteran and emerging players to strengthen the secondary. Cornerback prospects. There are several talented names to consider, like Byron Murphy, Asante Samuel Jr., and Carlton Davis III. But my top pick? Charvarius Ward. His skill set and experience make him a perfect candidate to step in as CB1 for the Raiders defense. Free agency wrap-up. That's all for my free agency picks. There are intriguing safeties like Talanoa Hufanga and Jevon Holland, but with Isaiah Pola-Mao and Trayvon Moehrig returning, I think we're set at that position. 5-round mock draft. Let's dive into this 5-round mock draft for the Raiders, addressing key areas we missed in free agency. Round 1. T-Mac, wide receiver. Pairing T-Mac with Chris Godwin and Jacoby Myers will give us a lethal receiving core that can stretch the field and dominate defenses. Round 2. Jaden Barron, defensive back. This guy is versatile, a defensive back who can do it all. He'll add much-needed depth and flexibility to the secondary. Round 3. Jack Sawyer, edge. Adding Sawyer bolsters our edge rush and strengthens a critical area on defense. Still thinking through rounds 4 and 5, but these first picks look rock solid for setting up a successful season. What are your thoughts so far? Mock draft wrap-up. Here's how things shaped up after 8 rounds of strategic picks. Round 1. T-Mac, wide receiver. Adding T-Mac alongside Chris Godwin and Jacoby Myers creates a dynamic receiving trio that's built to dominate defenses. Round 2. Jaden Barron, defensive back. A versatile DB who can elevate the Raiders' secondary with his playmaking skills. Round 3. Jack Sawyer, edge, bolsters the pass rush and shores up our defensive front. Round 3. Will Howard, quarterback. While I wasn't initially sold on him, Howard has the tools to develop into a future starter under Chip Kelly's offensive system. With Justin Fields leading the charge now, there's time to groom him for the long haul. Round 4. Jeffrey Bassa, linebacker. A huge pickup for depth in a crucial position group. Round 5. Devin Neal, running back. An explosive, change-of-pace back who could develop into a future star. Final roster breakdown. Quarterbacks: Justin Fields, Marcus Mariota, Will Howard, ALC. Running backs: Aaron Jones, Devin Neal, Amir Abdullah, wide receivers, Chris Godwin, T-Mac, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker. Final thoughts, Raiders Nation. What do you think of these moves? Did I address enough key needs? Would you make any changes? Drop your grade for this offseason down in the comments. Do you think this squad has what it takes to make the playoffs next season? Let's hear it.